Hey guys, Jared Beckstrand here, physical therapist and owner-founder of ToneandTighten.com, and today we're talking all about diastasis recti, specifically what it is, why you get it, and most importantly, an exercise progression that you can go through that's going to help you to resolve this issue. Coming at you right now. Alright, so what is a diastasis recti? Now, in order to understand exactly what it is, I need to give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson. Your abdominal wall is made up of 4 different muscles that are kind of layered one right on top of the other. The most superficial layer is called your rectus abdominis muscle. It's the muscle that runs from the bottom of your rib cage to the top of your pelvis, and it's actually divided into 2 halves that come right down the middle, just like this. It's joined in the middle by a ligament. Now, when there's some undue stress on that ligament, what it can do is actually cause those 2 halves of that muscle to separate. Okay, and so that's what that diastasis recti means, is a separation of that muscle or of that ligament that holds those 2 muscle bellies together of the rectus abdominis muscle. Now, what causes it? So whatever undue stress you put on that ligament can cause it to stretch and eventually even cause it to tear. Most often I see this in pregnancy, and especially postpartum pregnancy, and then also individuals who might be a little overweight. Again, anything that causes some undue stress on that anterior abdominal wall. Now, how do we check and see if you do in fact have a diastasis recti? I actually shot a video of this one with my wife. I'm going to put a link to that in the description down below. So in order to check to see whether or not you have this condition, be sure to click on that link and watch that video. We talk about how to check the size, the integrity, how big it is, the extent of the damage. Be sure to check that out. Alright, so most importantly, what are we going to do about it? So to help to demonstrate this progression of these exercises, I've brought in my beautiful wife. Now we have 4 kids, and after each one, she's kind of had this problem, and then she does a great job of rehabbing it. She's a master of these exercises.
Not a good therapist.
I have to pay her to say that. And so what I wanted to do is have her help us to run through this progression of these exercises. Now before we jump right into that though, I've got to give you another anatomy lesson. And so we talked about that rectus abdominis muscle. That's the 6-pack muscle that separates with this, okay? That's the most superficial layer of your abdominal muscles. Now the deepest layer of your abdominal muscles is actually called your transverse abdominis. That one, it actually originates on your back and it wraps around your sides and then it connects right into that muscle, right into that 6-pack, that rectus abdominis muscle. Now what happens is, again, with pregnancy, that one gets stretched out as well, so our whole goal is to kind of suck everything in tight. That's the whole job of that rectus abdominis muscle, is to suck your belly button in and to just kind of bring everything in. And so you think about it, you know, if we're stretched out and if we're separated here, if we can suck in and train that to draw that muscle in closer together, that's how we heal it up. And so the most important thing that you're going to do with this is train that rectus abdominis muscle, that muscle, or excuse me, the transverse abdominis muscle. It's the one that's going to suck everything in. So that's the progression that I want to take you through right now. And Camille's going to help me out with that. And so I'm going to have her lay down on her back. Now it's important that I mention here, make sure you get your doctor's clearance before doing any of this. Usually it's that 6-week mark, that 6-week postpartum mark, that is pretty safe for most people. But again, make sure you have your doctor's clearance that he's okay with you exercising, that he's okay with you doing these exercises. If you start to do them too early and too aggressively, you can actually perpetuate the problem. And so we definitely don't want that to go on, okay? So make sure you wait until at least the 6-week mark. Make sure you consult with your doctor before doing this. Okay, so again, the most important thing that we're going to do here is teach Camille how to basically suck everything in. And so it's that muscle again. It's going to, if you envision kind of, you know, pulling your belly button in towards your spine. So that's the muscle that we want to activate, okay? But first of all, I want to put her hips and her back in the right position to do that. And so what she's going to do, and so if you arch your back for me, leave your hips down. So there you go. So you see right now, I can slide my hands underneath her back really easily. The first step is to basically eliminate that. So how she's going to do that, she's going to rock her hips backward, and she's going to envision kind of pressing her spine down into the table. And so you'll see now that I can't get underneath there. So that's the first step, is to kind of set your hips, roll your hips backward, flatten your spine down into the floor, mat, table, whatever it is that you're on, okay? Second, we want to activate that transverse abdominis muscle. So she's going to flatten her back, and then she's going to suck in her belly button and tighten her stomach up, okay? And so it looks just like that. And so phase 1 is I want her to hold that for as long as she can. So about 3 to 5 seconds, and then relax. Okay, so it looks just like that. So again, number 2, she's going to flatten her back, she's going to suck in her stomach, and she's going to hold for about 5 seconds. She's not going to hold her breath for 5 seconds. That's the hardest part about this. You know, you're concentrating on that abdominal contraction and you hold your breath. Don't do that. Remember to breathe while you're doing this. Flatten your back, tighten your stomach, and suck in that belly button. That's phase 1, okay? What I want you to do is do those in sets of 10. I want you to do 3 sets of 10. When 3 sets of 10 starts to become easy, and don't get me wrong, when you first start out, especially postpartum, that's pretty tough. To get through 30 reps of that, that's pretty difficult. And so what we want to do is as soon as you're able to hold that, and as soon as you're able to get those 30 reps, that's when you progress, okay? So you're going to progress at your own speed. Some people it might be days, some people it might be weeks, even at just this phase 1. So progress at your own pace, okay? So as soon as that becomes easy, let's move into the phase 2 exercise. The phase 1, we set everything up with that phase 1. Flatten your back, tighten your tummy, suck in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hold that position while we activate some leg muscles. So she's going to hold right here, and then with this left knee, she's going to march up to my hand and then back down, march up here and back down, and then march and then back, march and then back. And the whole time, what she's doing is the hardest part, and she said this before, the hardest part is actually holding your back down, okay? As soon as we get into these leg muscles, or activating these leg muscles with the core muscle contraction, the hardest part becomes maintaining that flat spine, maintaining that sucked in, again, belly button sucked in towards your spine. That's that most important one. We're activating that transverse abdominis muscle. So it looks just like that. Shoot for 10 marches on each leg. Shoot for 3 sets of that. As soon as that becomes easy, we're going to get into the next level of this, okay? Again, the setup stage is the same. Flatten your back, tighten your tummy, and now instead of bringing the leg up towards her body, we're going to take her leg out away from it. So according to the principles of torque, just makes it a little harder as we introduce a longer lever arm to it. Flatten your back, tighten your tummy. Now she's going to kick that leg straight out. I want it as close to the table down here, as close to the floor as she can without touching the floor, and then pull it right back. Now again, the hardest part here becomes keeping that back nice and flat, keeping the spine down, keeping the abs sucked in while she's doing this. And that's what it looks like, okay? So we're going to shoot for alternating, so 10 on the left, 10 on the right, so 20 total as you're alternating, 3 sets of that. And when that becomes easy, that's how you know it's time to graduate to phase 4, okay? Phase 4 of all this, setup's always going to be the same. Flatten the back, tighten the tummy. Now we're going to do that straight leg extension, so she's going to take her right leg out, but now rather than just bring it straight back, she's actually going to come up, about a 45-degree angle, come back down, and now pull in. Okay? Doing all right?
Yep.
So again, this is where it starts to become a little bit more difficult as we do these straight leg raises. Again, I'm going for a flat back here. You'll see that I can't get my hand underneath there while she's doing it. I'm going for a flat stomach. I'm having her suck in. We're activating that transverse abdominis muscle. Now we're just making things a little more functional as we add in some of these leg raises. Okay, looks just like that. Nice job.
Thanks.
Okay, and so there's your phase 4. Phase 5, here we go. This is the most difficult one.
This is still so hard for me, and I'm 10 months out from
10 months postpartum, and this is about where you're at.
Yep.
Okay, and so again, trying to heal this up. It's a slow process. Progress at your own speed. Okay, so the setup's going to be the same, except this time what I want Camille to do is actually lift both of her knees up about towards my hand. And so we're going for about a 90-degree here, and we're going for about a 90-degree here. That's kind of our setup now. And so flatten her back out, tighten her stomach, so she's going to suck that belly button in. And so now it becomes a lot more difficult to do that because I've taken away her support. She doesn't have any support over here anymore. That setup becomes a lot more difficult, okay? Flatten her back, tighten her stomach. I'm going to let her legs go. And so now we're going to extend right leg out. Good. And then pull back, and then left leg out, and then pull back. Again, you'll see that she's not actually touching the table down here as she extends that out. I want it to be as close to the mat or as close to the table as you can without actually touching the table. And again, flatten that back out, tighten the stomach up. Looks just like that.
With some shakiness.
With a little bit of some shake going on.
That's how you know it's working.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And so then we're going for about 30 of those total. Okay. Nice job. So now the cool part about this is that then as soon as you start to get that abdominal contraction down, you can start to incorporate this into some of your other workouts and some of your other exercises. A good one is to do some squats. And so like some air squats, or if you've got like a big ball that you can roll up and down the wall as you're doing squats, keep your stomach sucked in, keep those abs nice and tight. That transverse abdominis nice and active, and so we're going to make it a little more functional that way. Another good one would be to do a wall push-up. And so, for example, you know, if your hands are up against the wall and you're coming down, I want that stomach tight, those abs sucked in while you're doing that movement. And so you can start to incorporate this contraction into some of your other exercises to make it a little bit more functional. And so I hope that helps out. Again, this has been 5 easy exercises. Well, I can't call them
I was going to say
5 simple exercises, this progression to help you heal up that diastasis recti if you might have it. I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in a comment below. I'll get to those just as soon as I can. This is also a great chance to like this video. I hope you found it effective. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. Also a great chance to subscribe to Tone and Tighten if you haven't done that yet. I share a lot of workout ideas, some physical therapy, rehab advice, some healthy recipes. I hope you guys check that out. So thanks for that in advance. And so we'll see you next time right here on Tone and Tighten.